3 hours. I have a limit of 3 hours for recording. How am I ever going to do that? I mean, record all this in like 3 hours. Welcome everyone to the Untimely Demise. I'm not sure if you can see that up there, but welcome to the Untimely Demise baking show thing. I'm going to be baking a cake and I was kind of bored, so I figured why not record it? So I am. Yay, I guess. Anyways, let's get started. Today we're going to be making a, what's it called? Oh, and I'm cooking this out of a cookbook. And so it's not my recipe, it's out of a cookbook called Cake Love, How to Bake Cakes from Scratch. And I got the book from the library. So, yeah. The cake is called a yellow butter cake. And the recipe calls for, let me just get this up so I can name everything correctly. It calls for 7 ounces of unbleached flour, 2 ounces of potato starch, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, half and half. It originally calls for 1 cup, but it also calls for alcohol, which I'm not going to be using. And so if you're not using the alcohol, you can substitute that for another teaspoon of half and half. So I have 1 cup and 1 teaspoon of half and half right here. I have 6 ounces or 1.5 sticks of butter. Unsalted butter, room temperature. That's the best thing to do for your butter. 14 ounces of sugar, which I have over here, and it's in a bigger bowl, and so I put it to the side so that way it's not in the way of anything, of any recording or anything like that. And 4 eggs, which are currently in the fridge because I don't want to pull them out and then have them be room temperature and then have them be rotten by the time I'm actually ready to use them, so I haven't grabbed them out yet. And that's what the recipe calls for. Yeah. Okay, just making sure I didn't skip over anything. No, I didn't. Okay, so first of all, we have to preheat the oven. If you have a conventional oven, it's 350. You have a convection oven, like I do, it's 335. There we go. Okay, now we need 2. I already did all that. Paddle attachment. For this recipe, it calls to use a KitchenAid mixer. Not actually a KitchenAid mixer, just a stand mixer. But I have a KitchenAid one, and it calls for a paddle mixer. But I don't think this is a paddle mixer. But this is about as close as I can get because I only have this one, a whisk, and a bread hook or dough hook, and this is as close as I can get. So I'm going to be using this one right now. It calls for a paddle hook though, or a paddle. What's it called for? Yeah, a paddle attachment. Okay, so now we have to, the first step is you have to put your sugar inside of a bowl. This is the bowl that comes with the KitchenAid. I can't put any other bowl on there or else it will ruin my KitchenAid and it won't mix properly and it will go everywhere, so I have to put all my stuff in this bowl before mixing it. So, mix together the sugar and the butter. And I have, this is half of a stick. It's actually 2 different parts because I used 1/4 of a stick for something, and then I used another 1/4 of a stick for something else. And so, I just am using these instead of cutting up another half. So, woo. And mine are already room temperature. My butter is already room temperature. It's been out for about 30 minutes. And it's not bad for butter to be out that long. Some people leave their butter out and they don't put it in the fridge, and it'll stay good for a while. So don't fret if you leave your butter out for a while and then use it. But butter should be refrigerated. Yeah, mine's room temperature. Just drop that all in there. And then put this on. And it said to mix it on the lowest speed for 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah, Now we have to wait. Now it's not done yet, but my butter is all clumping at the top, and so I'm going to use a rubber spatula and push it off. It's also good whenever you're doing anything for an extended amount of time, you're blending anything for an extended amount of time, to bring up your blender or the mixer and make sure that none of it is sticking to the sides, make sure none of it is pushed up onto the sides, and just kind of stir it a little bit away from the sides, and then continue with the mixing. Okay, now I didn't really look at the time, and I don't really know how long that's been, so I'm just going to give it a look, and this is looking pretty good. I think that might be done. Yeah, I'm going to call that done. That looks all mixed together thoroughly. So then, before adding anything else, that would be my oven heated up. Before mixing in anything else, actually put that over there, you have to unattach the bowl from the mixer so that way you don't get it all over everything before mixing anything else in. So next we have to, add the eggs one at a time, so I guess we don't have to take this off just yet. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, yes. So, with the mixer still on the lowest speed, mix in the eggs. And that's 4 eggs. I have this neat attachment where I can put this on the bowl, and then I can just drop my eggs into here, and then they'll just go right in. And so I'm going to get out 4 eggs. There we go. And then put it on the lowest speed, and that's stir for me. And then put them in one at a time. Oh, it's not cracking. There we go. One at a time. And then not one directly after the other, just one after the last one you put in is fully incorporated. This had egg all over it, and so I had to rinse it off real fast, just to make sure the egg didn't get all over my counter when I set this down on the counter. Forgot to lock it when I started it. It's probably not the best thing. Alright, now all of the eggs are incorporated, and it looks like a grainy sort of butter egg mixture. The graininess is just from my sugar, because I didn't get like super granulated sugar. I just have normal all-purpose sugar, whatever you want to call it. Alright, that's all good. So I'm just gonna wipe my spatula off on the mixer. There. And then we add, it says that we're supposed to mix these together. The flour with the potato starch and the baking powder and the salt all together. So I will do that now. Okay, there, that looks fully incorporated. That looks fully mixed together. Now you're going to want to take your half and half, and it depends on whether you added all the alcohol. Oh, I should probably tell you what the alcohol version is. If you want to add the alcohol to it, it's 1 cup of half and half, 2 tablespoons of brandy, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. But I am only 17, so I'm not going to be doing the alcohol part. I now have 1 cup of half, 1 cup of half and half, and a tablespoon extra of half and half because I'm choosing to keep out the alcohol. Now, we're going to want to put this back down, put this back on, and put it on the lowest setting again. Now you're going to want to do okay, yes, I got that right. You're going to want to start with the dry mixture. Add a little bit of that. A bit more, there we go. And then add a little bit of the wet mixture, which is just, for me, it's just half and half. And then you're going to want to keep alternating between them. A little bit of the dry, and then a little bit of the wet. And you're going to want to begin and end with the dry. Now that that's fully done, stop the mixer, or whatever it is you're doing. You can do this by hand too, doesn't matter. And then you're going to want to scrape the sides. Make sure that all of it is in. Make sure that the flour, because there might be a bit of flour or some of the dry mixture attached to the side of the bowl. You're going to want to get all that off. And scrape the insides of the bowl, making sure that the mixer got all of it. And then I am just cleaning off my spatula on the mixer blade now. So that way I don't have any excess on the spatula. Or a little excess on the spatula. And then this is going back over there. And if I remember correctly... Okay, I got a bit of batter on my fingers. You're going to want to put that back in. And then turn it on the highest speed, or not the highest speed, a medium for mixing cake batter. And on mine, that would be a 4. I have a manual over here and it says what the medium for mixing cakes would be. Yeah, medium speed for cake mixes on your KitchenAid would be a 4. So I'm going to turn it on 4 for 15 to 20 seconds. Yes, 15 to 20 seconds on a medium for cake mixes. Now that is done. Don't mix it for too long or else it will allow the glutens in the flour to develop way too much, and then it will be way too it'll be way too firm of a batter, and your cake will be very, very thick and not as doughy as it should be. So now the next part is, actually I made a mess on the counter, so I'm going to clean that up real fast. So the next thing, I have 2 springform pans, or drop bottom pans, whatever you prefer to call them. And one is a 10-inch and one is a 9-inch. I don't know why I have 2 different sizes, but I do. You can use any sort of pan you want for this. I guess not any sort of pan. Any sort of cake pan you want for this. The baking part. I prefer my springform pans. It makes it a lot easier to take the cakes out of the pans and a lot easier to cook them in. Do not use, whatever you do, please, for heaven's sake, do not put pan or any sort of nonstick spray into your pans when you're baking the cake. It will ruin the cake batter. It will make it so that way it is not, it doesn't grow, because it needs to climb up the sides of the pan to be able to, it has to have something to stick to be able to grow. So if you're going to use anything to keep it from sticking to your pans, use parchment paper or some sort of specially designed thing for baking cakes. Do not use pan or cooking spray. I cannot stress this enough. For me, I am using a parchment paper. And then I am going to show you. I'm going to cut out a piece the size of the springform pan, and then I'm going to cut out a piece, just a square piece. Do not make it round yet. Just a rough size of your springform pan. You're going to want to take out the bottom of it, and then put the parchment paper over the bottom of the pan. There we go. And make sure that you have excess parchment paper flowing over the sides of the bottom of the pan, or else you won't be able to do this next part. And then you want to stick this over the springform pan, over the parchment paper, and lock it in. I made up this trick myself, so if it doesn't work for you, just try something else, I guess. Now you have no parchment paper on the bottom, but you have parchment paper in there, which is where you want it. And then because you have so much extra out here, you can just cut out a circle right there. And then we're going to repeat the same process with the other springform pan as well. Alright, now both of my springform pans have the parchment paper at the bottom. And again, I don't know why I have a 9-inch and a 10-inch, I just do. Now, don't fret if there's still a bit on the outside. That's actually pretty good. And it won't burn. It will kind of darken into a darker brown. It will not burn though. It will not catch on fire. Parchment paper is made especially to not catch on fire. It's actually meant for cooking in the oven with. It will not catch on fire. It's not bad to put it in the oven, so don't worry. And then I'm going to scrape this off so it's not dripping all over the place when I take off the bowl. If you want, you can take this off and lick it, although there is raw eggs in the batter, so please use caution. There is raw eggs in the batter. There are raw eggs in the batter. Please use caution when licking it. There we go. You twist it the other way. You can't lock it in more and then think it's going to unlock. That's not how it works. And because this is still kind of dripping, I'm going to put something down there. Put it down there in the nick of time. I don't want it spilling all over my brand new KitchenAid, so I'm going to protect that. Alright. You're going to try and do half and half in each one, or if you have a bigger pan, you can do all of it into a bigger pan or into like a square pan, kind of like this, like a Pyrex type baking thing. I prefer to use the springform pans, the round springform pans, because I'm going to do a double layered cake. But if you want to use a 9 by 10 inch rectangular pan like that one, you can. I just recommend using these. It's a lot easier for me, at least. So I'm going to do about half and half. If you can't do exactly half and half, that's fine. And because I have a 9-inch and a 10-inch, I'm going to try putting a bit more in the 10-inch because it's a bit bigger. Just put that over there. And then once you put it in, you're going to want to smooth that out because this isn't a box cake. It's not going to have any self-smoothing out agencies, and when you cook it, it's going to look, the top is going to look how it looks in the pan right now. So you're going to want to smooth it out a bit. So it's not like there's a lump over to this side and then this side doesn't have enough in it. You're going to want to try smoothing it out as much as you can. And it doesn't matter if it sticks to the side after it's done cooking. It doesn't matter if you don't have anything keeping it from sticking to the sides of your pan. After we're done cooking this, you can take a rubber spatula and you can just glide it along the sides of your pan. If you have a pan like this, don't use a metal thing, like don't use a butter knife because it will cut your pan and it will ruin the pan. So don't do that. Now, 28 minutes. I guess don't. Can you see that? I guess. There we go. Now I'm going to clean up while that's going. They're done. Now to test it, you have to stick a toothpick or some sort of thing in the middle of your cake. I prefer not to do my finger because it's really, really hot and I'd rather not burn my finger. And the toothpick, it's so skinny, you don't even notice a hole in it. You just push the toothpick into the middle, and if it comes out clean without any like dough sticking to it, it's good. They're good. They're good. They're both done. Now they need to wait and cool for half an hour before you can put anything on top of them. So while they're cooling, I'm going to be making a frosting to put on top of them. But since this video is already very long, I'm going to wait to put it onto the next video. So yeah, there'll be another video in the description for the frosting and the decorating of the cake. This was just the making of the cake. You don't have to frost it, you don't have to decorate it, you can eat it right away. But yeah, I'm gonna do another frosting and decorating video. It'll be in the description below if you would like to watch it, but for now, that's it, I guess. Alright, well, bye. Yeah. I guess I should probably show the cakes to make sure that they're actually like, show you what it looks like when they're done. When they're done, they look like that. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but it's supposed to be like, ow, that's hot.
Oh, that's hot.
Okay. I accidentally touched myself with the pan. It's really, really hot. It should be a very brown, golden brown on the outside, and then in the middle, all of it should be yellow, and it should look like a sponge. Not so much a cake, but more of a sponge. So. Oh, and when you're resting the cakes while they're cooling, try to make sure that you have them elevated a little bit off of the counter or whatever surface you're using, or else it will create a moisture underneath the pan, and on the bottom of the cake it will create moisture, and that's not always the best. And I think I burnt my arm when I touched the pan in my arm.
Oh, that's hot.
Oh well, it's not that severe. So try to make sure that they're a little bit elevated. If they can't be elevated off of the counter or whatever surface you're using, it's fine. Just it's preferred that they're elevated a little bit, even if it's just like on another pan that they're set on, to get them a little bit off of the whatever surface. It's fine. Just I like to keep mine a little bit elevated on a rack on the stove. So, yeah. I guess that's it for now. Yeah, the frosting video will be in the description. And I think that's it for now. Bye! Bye-bye!